الحمد لله رب العالمين.
في أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ونبيه ورسوله، وأن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. All praise and glory belongs to Allah. We thank Him and we seek His help and His guidance and His pleasure and His forgiveness. And we turn to Allah seeking protection from the evil whispers of ourselves and the awful consequences that can result from our actions. For whomever Allah Azza wa Jal guides, no one can lead astray, and whomever Allah leaves without guidance, no one can guide that person. And we testify that no one is worthy of worship but Allah alone, without any partners, the true Supreme King, and that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was indeed his Prophet, and his servant and his messenger, who came with the perfect guidance and the religion of truth, who came with the best of speech, the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the best of examples, his example and his lifestyle sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. O people of Iman, Allah Azza wa Jal calls out, have the taqwa of Allah, be conscious of Allah, uphold your duty to Allah, remain obedient to Allah in the manner that He deserves, which is at all times and all places, so long as it's within your ability to do so. Pour yourself out, max out in your devotion to Allah, for that is what He deserves. And do not die, the verse says, except in a state of complete and total submission to Allah, a state of Islam. To begin, after welcoming our brothers and our sisters to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, several people in the past 12 or 24 hours have forwarded to me or referred me to an article that I guess is making its rounds around the social media world and otherwise. An article I believe originally published by ESPN and another sports media outlet about a certain very famous figure that has come out of the closet regarding his spirituality, whatever that means. And he has become now an open advocate for giving up on faith and giving up on a belief in the unseen, a belief of another world, focusing and admitting, declaring there is only the here and now, only what we can touch, see, feel, taste, hear. And of course, due to his status, his celebrity status, those that are part of this movement, the atheist movement, the godless movement, have boosted him to the forefront of their battle. Because their battle in reality is a very hard one. For this is a movement that has never before existed in human history as a religion, as a movement. And so they need as much legitimacy as possible. So you find them very happy that someone like this can arise. And you find them very aggressive when they are the ones that are saying we leave religions because religions promote intolerance. Whereas their conversations are the exact opposite in their tone. Because there has never been a people, as a people, in human history before that had ever declared in unison we don't believe in a God. There are some people that found themselves stumped about certain questions that Shaitan threw in their head. Negligible few individuals in the history of humanity. Philosophers or otherwise. People that had doubts. But to be a belief, to be, if you will, their own religion now that has never happened before. And that is the very first proof against them that we will mention today, even if it's not the greatest proof. That this is a subject that has never and will never be in reality a legitimate debate, a legitimate subject of doubt. And we take that, by the way, from the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala said to us, قَالَتْ رُسُلُهُمْ أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكٌّ فَاطِرِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Their messengers, plural, would constantly come to them and say, is there a doubt regarding Allah, the one who originated the heavens and the earth the first time around? Allah Azza wa Jal inspires His messengers to speak to the people with the strongest proofs. And Allah is telling us, He said to them, of their proofs, can you really doubt that there is an Allah, that there is a true supreme God who originated it all? So that is of the greatest proofs that the messengers have always been saying. Is this even subject to doubt? Because the people knew, Allah told the messengers to speak like this. Why? Because in the depths of everybody's heart, they know there is no doubt regarding Allah Azza wa Jal. So He addressed them with what is inborn inside of them. Even those that claim to argue otherwise, they hold certain accusations against religion, against the concept of God. Sometimes it's a wrong concept of God, so it's a legitimate accusation to hold against God, the false God. Right? But they don't have an explanation for, in reality, what originated everything. So this is the first thing we wish to mention. And it is worth it. It is relevant in our time and place. It is from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to use his mimbar, use the gathering on Friday to address the people with what will benefit them and what will ward off from them harm. So you need to know this and understand this, and your children need to know this and understand this, and we must have an open discussion about this whenever it's relevant to do so. So how can we prove, or what is the proof that Allah Azza wa Jal exists, that this universe has a creator? The strongest proof, aside from the unanimous agreement of humanity, leave that alone. Perhaps we come back to it at the end if we have time, to discuss the background to why this movement came about. But more importantly, why we will never give an ear to this notion. The strongest proof to the existence of our Creator, to the existence of a God, rests within the depths of every single human being. Allah created us that way, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every human being is born upon the fitrah, and the concept of the fitrah, that natural state that Allah placed you upon, that pure state, we've spoken about it many a times, and the Quran and Sunnah are filled with it. You know that you have a master. You know that you have a creator. You know this deep down inside because you as a soul stood in front of Him and acknowledged that, and the effects of that incident were installed inside of you when you were born into a body, when that soul was placed into your body. And that is why people, once again, may have doubts about God, but they cannot, they're unable to deny God in reality. That's why in moments of sincerity, moments of truth, moments of clarity, sometimes a catastrophe in their life, they always come back to Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's why it's only when they're in times when they're enjoying luxury and they're living the distraction of this world, can they just write it off quickly because they don't want to think about it. They don't want it to exist. As Allah Azza wa Jal says, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. The human being crosses his limits. He goes to uncharted territories when he feels like he has no more needs. And that is what is happening now. That is why this ummah, that ummah of this belief is born. These atheists only came out in a time when we are living advancement and luxury that the human race has never seen before. Likewise, it's befitting then that the distractions are more than ever before, the arrogance is more than ever before, and such a movement arises that never existed before. It's perfectly logical. But the greatest proof to the existence of Allah is within you, within every single heart. Muslim and non-Muslim alike, they're literally incapable of denying it. That's why when one of the early Muslim philosophers tried to address this subject, the doubts that people have about a creator, by entering through the back door, starting from the end of the book, and he put together 1,000 logical proofs about the existence of God. A simple woman said, "Who is this man?" "You don't know so-and-so, the philosopher." He put together 1,000 arguments to prove to the world God exists. She said to him that he must have had 1,000 doubts. Who bases their belief on refutations and arguments, logic, and that's alone? That is not it. So the first proof for the existence of Almighty God, your Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is your fitrah, your heart itself testifies to this truth, and it cannot do otherwise. The second proof to the existence of your Creator, of Almighty God, is logic. And that's the beauty of our religion, that it addressed the heart, proof one, and it addressed the mind, proof two. There's no contradiction between the two, because Allah who created our hearts is Allah who created our minds, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why He addresses in the Quran all throughout the human being with simple, clear logic, not in-depth, overly complex verbiage, rhetoric, big words just for the sake of flexing your intellectual muscles like the debaters love doing. Clear logic that anyone could understand. As Allah Azza wa Jal says, for example, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Were they created out of nothing, or were they themselves the creators, meaning of themselves? Do you know anything that has ever come of nothing? If I told you that this phone is here, it arrived in the masjid by itself, this iPhone 5 or 6, you see, you're crazy. You want me to believe that the phone was created by itself now? You won't accept that it arrived by itself. What about being constructed by itself without someone who knows the ins and outs of technology, electricity, programming, and engineering? Were they created just out of nothing? Out of nothing, it just showed up? Or were they the creators of themselves? You want to claim you created yourself? Fine, repeat it. If you've done it once, do it again. Or do you want to say you were not created at all? You were always here. Once again, illogical. The verses continue, أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. Or is it that they created the heavens and the earth? No, no, no. They are not certain. Isn't it beautiful how those that claim that no, God created the heavens and the earth, they don't dare claim they created the heavens and the earth, and they cannot agree on how the heavens and the earth were created. So how did you create it when you don't even agree how the process that went about? As Allah Azza wa Jal said, مَا أَشْهَدْتُهُمْ خَلْقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَا خَلْقَ أَنفُسِهِمْ. I did not allow for them to witness the creation of the heavens and the earth. Whole bunch of theories out there, and every day they change it again. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal says, we did not allow them to create, to witness, not even see it, the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor even the creation of themselves. You don't know how it happened. You cannot explain it. بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ. No, they're not certain. They're just throwing forth arguments like this. They're in denial. The verses continue. أَمْ عِنْدَهُمْ خَزَائِنُ رَبِّكَ أَمْ هُمُ الْمُصَيْطِرُونَ. Or is it that they possess the treasure chests of your Lord? Or is it that they are the ones that are in control? Look at the beauty of the logic of the Quran. Sometimes when you speak to people, address them with these arguments, present to them these rhetorical questions, even without telling them it's the Quran. Some people say, I can't use that proof because he doesn't believe in the book to begin with. Forget it. You know that this is the argument that the creator of the human mind uses. Present it. Question after question after question till you just melt. Or was it, Allah says, that they possess the treasure chest of your Lord? Can you decide to live longer? You possess the fountain of life? Are you the one that can reproduce natural resources, these fine minerals, when they run out? What are you going to do? Or is it that you are the ones that are the managers of things? You know, if the universe was created random, as some people want to say, that would mean we would be able to control things, because we understand the rhythm. Or we could at least call it, this is how things are going to happen. But our universe doesn't run with a rhythm. If it ran with a rhythm, it was perfectly rhythmic, meaning it just exploded and all the gears went in the right place, you know what would happen? It would rain on the exact same day every single week, or every single month, or every single year. But it raining on random days that you yourself cannot predict proves that you're not in charge, and that it's not a rhythm. That's why in other ayat Allah Azza wa Jal says, indeed in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of night and day, the passing of clouds, that is a sign for someone that wants to think. This is not a system that just was exploded into place and just kept going. Someone is able to make the system and break it as well, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody's in control. The irrhythmicity of this universe proves that as well. We take it from those ayats. Or are they the ones in control? The rules are not set. If the rules were set and could not be changed, if no one was managing them, Everyone that fell off a 10th floor building would die. It's not true. And nobody that fell off a bed would die. That's not true either. There's someone in control, subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is qadr involved. There is a willful agent behind it all, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, of the logical proofs the Quran gets you to think about is what some later philosophers that do believe in God call causality. Like everything has to have a cause, right? Everything has to have something. You don't find a footprint in the sand by itself, as they say, right? Nothing is just there. The argument of the phone I used previously. Somebody will say, but if you're saying the universe has a creator, then who caused the creator? This is always their response. This is not logical. Actually, logic says this can't go on forever. If everything is waiting on something to cause it, forever, nothing would exist, right? Everything is waiting on something before. Are we together? Is that clear? Everything would be waiting on something. Forever, for eternity. So logically, there has to be something that is not waiting for anything to help it. It's not waiting for support. There has to be a beginning. That nothing put it into beginning. Something that takes care of everything else. You know those two qualities? Allah Azza wa Jal said to us that is who He is in the greatest ayah in the Quran. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. Allah, none is worthy of worship, devotion, recognition but Him, Al-Hayy, the one who is forever living. He doesn't have a start. He is the start, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Qayyum, the one that manages everything else, that puts everything else into motion, sustains everything else, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even Allah's name that you repeat in Surah Al-Ikhlas, when you say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, say He is Allah, the one and only, Allahu Samad. Allah who is As-Samad. As-Samad in the Arabic language is the one that people go to for their needs. The one that others are sustained by. They go to the most knowledgeable for knowledge. And they go to the most powerful for help. They go to the most wise for advice. Allah is As-Samad. The one that is everyone and everything is going to at every moment and needs Him. And He does not need anyone or anything at any moment. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. That there has to be one like that. So it is very logical. So we said the proof of the heart, the fitrah. The proof of the mind, logic. Also the proof of the design of this universe. As Allah Azza wa Jalla says, سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى. Glorify the name of your Lord the Most High, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is high in His essence, above His creation, but not distant from them. He's not part of His creation, nor is He disconnected from it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is who He is, befitting of His majesty. And He is also high in His qualities. Such high qualities that cannot be matched. Who can match the creation of Allah as one of His qualities? لَخَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ. The creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of the people. Meaning the universe is more complex than the human being, and the construction of the universe, another tafsir, is more complex than anything the human being can construct. Who can produce the human eye? No camera in the world has come close, or have they studied the eye to mimic it? What do you mean 130 million light receptors to get the light in my eye? Who's going to... What fine-tuned tweezers are going to do that in a camera? What the human brain, you need a building 5 times the size of the Empire State Building. With 16 million tons of wires, as some researchers have quoted. And the whole Mississippi River just to keep it cool, to do what you do with your brain. Allah Azza put that in the human head. How big is the human head? Look at the animals, how He guided them. Look at the communication and the languages between the beasts. Look at the anthill, look at the honeycomb. Look at the horse that is guided to not jump off the cliff no matter how many times you hit him. He knows. Allah guided them. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى. Glorify the name of your Lord who is so high, subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِي خَلَقَ فَسَوَّى. The one who brought into existence and He proportioned and He fashioned. وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. And the one that proportioned everything in a perfect balance. And then He guided. No matter how you put the seed, He planted it, He guided the sprout to come up and the roots to go down for water, and the sprout to go up for air. And He proportioned the earth You know, if the earth was 50% oxygen, not 24%, the first person to light a cigarette or the first lightning bolt, we would all be ablaze. If we were a little farther from the sun or a little closer, who designed this perfect universe? As perfect as creation can be. So that is the third proof, the design of Allah Azza in this universe. And the fourth proof that nobody can go anywhere from is the proof of experience. Again, all throughout human history, people have confirmed and documented, are able to express experiences with the divine. Times when they were down and out, times when the doctor said they're dead, times when they felt emotionally paralyzed and there was no exit, but they knew deep down inside that if they called upon Allah sincerely, He would cure them, and He did. And that is of the proofs. This is not something subjective, because Allah said it. He said, أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. Who else is it but Allah that responds to the desperate when He calls and He removes? He removes these difficulties. He removes hardship. When there's nowhere else to go. We all know this. If we sat there honestly, away from the distractions, away from the arrogance of arguments, and sat there and thought about the times that you were down and out, or someone you know was down and out, and desperate, and Allah pulled them out, we would write volumes. And you know another aspect of human experience that proves that Allah exists, a very easy one. The existence of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Experiencing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How do you explain that? How do you explain a nation that was not even documented in the books of the great powers of the world? They didn't exist. They were on the margins of humanity. No one spoke about them. No one even knew Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam existed. His name isn't mentioned in the books of the Greek and Roman historians until we're talking 30 years after his hijrah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 20 years after his death. People began hearing about this man and writing about him. Until today they say this. And that should serve to testify that they were a negligible nobody, the Arab of the time. And then one man arises, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that cannot read or write, that spearheads such advancement, such momentum in the world, such equality, such justice, such success, happiness, all of that. And it ricochets throughout planet Earth for 1,000 years. How do you explain that? How do you explain a man that came from a people that would bury their daughters alive, and slavery and revenge were religion to them, if you will? And he was the only successful person in human history to ever remove racism from a people. And they were the worst of it, perhaps. The only one ever to be able to do it. And we see until today, the most advanced countries of the world, you see the riots and the uprisings and the objections and the reality of racism that we all know is around us. How did he do it, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Just as one man was mentioning that he was on the verge of being atheist, a professor here in Manhattan, his name, he's in NYU, he mentions that I was done with religion. I was done with this concept of God. I was done with, superstitions and the likes, until I came across a word for a Muslim poet, Muhammad rahimahullah, who said, you can deny God, but you cannot deny Muhammad. Right? This is not to say that Muhammad, a'udhu billah, is above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but to say that, yeah, it's easy for you to be immature and say, I don't see him, he's not there, that's it, there's no God. But what do you do with someone who's human like you, who existed like you, who had a family like you, who ate and drank like you, entered the bathroom like you, and bathed like you, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and then he does that to planet Earth? How do you deny that? How do you explain that? And luckily Allah had the qadr of this man years before he had decided to take the route of history. He was a historian. So he said, I have to be truthful with myself. Right? All the bad press and everything, that's the real negativity. One of the main reasons why I was disillusioned from being a Muslim. But what do I do with this? How do we explain the human experience of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? It is beyond denying. The most documented man in history. This is not a story that was made up. Salawatu Rabbi wa salamu alayhi. So this is of the fourth proofs on the existence of Allah, because the existence of a messenger, right, proved that someone sent him. He's a messenger on behalf of somebody else. And this messenger whose miracles are recorded beyond the shadow of a doubt. Like the miracle of the Quran, it came from him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Meaning it was revealed to him. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, it came from Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Recorded through tawatur, meaning an abundant recurrence. Beyond being, you'd have to deny that your mother was your mother first, before denying that Muhammad brought the Quran. Because we have more proof of that than we have proof of your little birth certificate and 4 or 5 people that were in the room to prove that your mom was yours. He existed, so how do you explain all this? And the miracles that he performed, surely the one that created the universe, him breaking the rules in his universe that he said, is even a greater proof that he is the Lord, the one in control, the one possessing full mastery of it all, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we said the greatest proof is that which is inside every human being, the heart, the fitrah in the heart. And the second proof is the proof of clear, sound logic, plain reasoning. Where would it all come from? Who controls it all? The third of them is the proof of the design of this universe. The fourth of them is the proof of experience, human experience, either personal or prophetic. That of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ونبيه ورسوله. The last of the proofs, at least, that we will mention regarding the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before I give a minute or two of concluding statement, is the proof of revelation. And revelation, the Quran itself, though I alluded to it before the break, is a clear proof in at least 2 angles that there is a creator. One, the first proof that the Quran is from the creator of the heavens and the earth is the sheer accuracy of everything in the Quran. That we are only coming to learn day by day. We are talking linguistic accuracy. Some people say the Quran has linguistic mistakes, and this is a joke. This is not someone in his right mind. Right? Because the masters of the Arabic language did not use that argument. They said that we can't win with that one. No one has ever said that. Except people that many a times, once again, could not spell their own names in Arabic. They're saying the Quran has linguistic mistakes, as if he's some sort of expert. If you want to talk about linguistic masterpiece finished, the historical accuracy of the Quran, every brand new day we're realizing just how precisely correct the Quran is. Because it comes from the truth, al-haqq subhanahu wa ta'ala, the king of truth and the true king subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that comes from him will be truth. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا. Whom is more truthful and precise than Allah in his speech? You know, of the things to be mentioned is that some people claim that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took that Quran from the Jews and the Christians of the time. They argue this. It's not some book that came from God, and how could he know these things historically? He got them from the Jews and the Christians, they say. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, لِسَانَ الَّذِي يُلْحِدُونَ إِلَيْهِ أَعْجَمِيٌّ. The tongue that you're accusing him, attributing him to, the language that he's plagiarizing from is a non-Arabic language. And this is a clearly Arabic Quran, Allah says. Right? So let's say he took the content from somewhere else, right? How in the world did he produce the masterpiece? That doesn't explain the language still. But then when you look a little deeper, you'll realize that he did not exactly copy from them. You can't even say that. Not even the content. Because there are differences between the Quranic account of history, for example, and the Judeo-Christian accounts of history. I'll give you 2 quick examples. The time is chasing us off of the minbar. All throughout the first 800 years after the Prophet ﷺ, there was a famous accusation held against the Muslims. So you Muslims, your Prophet was writing from a Christian scribe, copying the Quran, and he messed up, he wrote it wrong. He said that Haman, you all read Haman in the Quran. Haman is the guy that works for Pharaoh in Egypt. That was a mistake. We all know from the Christian books, in the book of Esther in the Bible, Haman is the guy that built the Tower of Babylon in Iraq. See, so Muhammad ﷺ, they're accusing him of miswriting it. 800 years later, the major Christian authorities agreed that this book of Esther to begin with was not a true account. So it was made up. It's a story to help you feel better, raise your spirits and the likes. Another 600, 500 years pass, and we begin to excavate. About 100 years ago, much of the Egyptian civilizations of old, a science is born called Egyptology, the study of Egypt. And we began to understand how to read hieroglyphics. And we learned from there that the Pharaoh of Egypt had a man that worked for him whose name was Haman. And that Haman is actually his title. It refers to the guy, the engineer in charge of the stone. Takes the stone from the mountains and makes it with buildings. Our Quran says what? يا هامان أوقد لي على الطين لعلي أطلع إلى إله موسى وإني لأظنه من الكاذبين. Fir'aun says, "Oh Haman, build for me from the mud, make stone, to build for me a tower, so that I can go find the Lord of Moses, and I think he's lying anyway." Who had the last laugh? The accuracy of the Quran is one subject. And then the second is the effects of the Quran. The perfect balanced system for humanity that the world is still catching up with. Still, until now. What system, as I said, removed slavery, removed intoxication gradually in a way that was effective? Even here we couldn't do it. What system left no unmarried, single, seeking man except that he was married off? What system caused people, except for the zakah system, to walk around and no longer able to find someone to give their zakah to? What system until today picked up the women all over the world that realized that they were being used and abused for their bodies and not respected, and gave them worth, and there's flooding to Islam in waves? What but the Quran? What has ever brought a bright dawn upon human civilization like this book? And there is so much more to say about this, but observe the ummah. We are down at times. I'm done, there's no concluding remarks. We are down at times about the condition of the ummah, and that condition is proportionate to our distance from the Quran. But still, we are still an ummah that loves the Quran, accepts the Quran, testifies that this is the book of Allah. Look at the degree of that, how it's benefited us. What nation in the world, by and large, puts its head down to the Creator 5 times a day? What system, in essence, pays 2.5% for the most part of their zakat to the poor? What ummah on the face of the earth all together, even in places when they're fasting 22 days, withhold from food and drink and their lawful spouses throughout the day, in unison like that for a whole month at a time? What system, what ummah, but the ummah of the Quran? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those that have no wavering in our iman. And may Allah azza wa jal make us of those that are able to spread this message of Islam. And help those that have given up because they could not find the truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide the sincere to the truth and make us a means for that. And may Allah azza wa jal keep us sincere so we qualify to retain the truth in these hearts. Allahumma ameen. May Allah make us of the people of the Quran and rush to this world the guidance of the Quran, and reunite us with the one who delivered to us this greatest gift of Allah, our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma ameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.